for Molly. She's not zooming in, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. First item up will be to approve the meeting agenda. Anything of note, or we're good with the agenda?
We had one addition under E, consent items E. Mr. Beachy was added for a lane. Sorry, Mr. Nor was added for lane change request. Mr. Nor was added. But she's on there now.
Is it, oh, okay, all right. So say it right there, okay. So entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda. Brenda?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve the meeting.
And I will second.
Okay. Motion by Brenda, second by Stacy. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Agenda carries. Opportunity for visitors to address the board. Looks like we're good there. So we have some acknowledgements on Channel 2 staff, live streaming events, and winter advisors, coaches, and athletes and participants. Mr. Court, do you have anything to add?
I want to thank our Channel 2 staff and Mr. Hugwood for all their work for this winter and this fall. And we want to thank our advisors and coaches and student athletes, participants for their commitment and representing Pelican Rapids schools. Thank you.
Yes. It was a good spring season, I thought. Now we have presentations. So we have Mr. Jeff Olson from True North Consulting. He's going to give us a little bit of presentation here. And Jeff, are we sounding okay?
Yeah, I think so. How am I doing on your end?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for providing an opportunity for True North Consulting Partners to work with you in setting a long-range direction and planning for the Pelican Rapids School District. I want to start by just giving you a really brief background. Again, my name is Jeff Olson. I'm originally from Alexandria, but I spent my entire career in St. Peter, Minnesota as a teacher, high school principal, superintendent, and like many superintendents that retire, I ended up returning to St. Peter twice, the last time being this past school year in 2024-2025, so I was a practicing superintendent until June 30th again. But we've been working with True North Consulting Partners since 2013. Primary partners are Terry Quist, who's a retired superintendent from Alexandria, and Julie Kritz, a retired superintendent from Alexandria. We work primarily in the area of long-range planning. We also do some work in facilities planning, executive searches, and mentoring and support for administrators. So just wanted to give you a little bit of a review, an overview, a kind of a big picture of the process that we're going to be engaging in with the Pelican Rapids School District. So as you can see from your screen and the handout you have, our purpose is really to engage stakeholders in a collaborative, transparent, and data-driven process. And I'll talk a little bit more about the data collection ideas and strategies that we have and that we plan to work on with you and the community and staff and students in Pelican Rapids. The really big picture goal that we have is to set the Pelican Rapids long-range direction for the next 3 to 5 years that would include key priorities, goals for meeting those priorities, and a detailed action plan. As you can see, the deliverables, there'll be a long-term priorities report that will have 3 to 5 priorities that will come out of the process that we engage in with you. And then there'll be high-level goals and objectives to put those priorities into practice. And then that second deliverable, a comprehensive strategic action planning and monitoring process, that gets down to, so now you've got these priorities and these goals, what are you going to do with them, and how are you going to ensure that something really happens, and it's not a report that gets stuck on a shelf somewhere and doesn't get worked on and acted on. So that's really what that's all about. That's one of our key parts that we want to work very closely with all of you on. In terms of planning logistics, there will be a number of opportunities for input. We have listening sessions. Those are in person, and those will be with students, staff, parents, and community members, and you'll see some dates that will be in district to conduct those listening sessions. We also will involve staff or key stakeholders in focus groups, and there will be a survey that will be out for students, staff, and community members. We also will have in that logistics planning process what we call an Elevating Student Success Planning Team, ESS. It looks to be about 12 to 15 members who represent various components from your district, from administrators to school board representatives to staff to community leaders. And there'll be 3 meetings and then 1 follow-up meeting with that group. And as we get into the specifics behind that, those dates and so forth, you'll see what that's all about. I want to make sure that I just pause here to see if there are any questions right off the top, or if we're ready to continue, and I'll certainly make opportunity for you to ask any questions or provide input as we move forward. But anything at this point from anybody?
I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, so let's just keep scrolling down that document. You'll see that we have a number of different phases. The first is preparation and design. We've actually met with Superintendent Korf a couple of times, most recently on March 8th, where we started to talk about the process, talk about the timeline, identify some dates and times, identify who might be involved with that Elevating Student Success team. So we had a good opportunity to meet with Brian a couple of weeks ago. As we move forward then, the first phase of the process, and that will be in early August, will be to conduct a document review. So we'll want to have an opportunity to take a look at all of those kinds of things that you have had in place in the past and have in place right now, from a previous strategic plan to financial reports, facilities audits, enrollment projections, current improvement plans that you have, any achievement data, and student programming data. So all of that will be put together and we'll come back in one of our first meetings with the Elevating Student Success team in the form of a State of the District presentation. In addition, you'll see the data collection process. So there'll be some focus groups on August 25th and September 16th. We'll have listening sessions on September 16th. Our plan is to be in district from early morning through the evening, meeting with students during the school day, staff before and after school, and community in the evening. And then there'll be a survey that we'll be putting together and customizing to meet the needs of your district. We'll be doing that in the next several months, and that survey will be open and out for students, staff, community members from September 17th through the 25th. We'll have our first Elevating Student Success Team meeting on August 25th from 6 to 7 o'clock. That's really just kind of an introduction, again, an overview of the process, similar to what we're doing tonight. And then if we need to, any feedback and revisions to the process after we receive input from that team. We continue scrolling down. Phase 2 is really a meeting where we'll meet with that Elevating Success team again. and that date is September 30th. If we talk about generally trying to keep the meetings in 2 hours, we don't take breaks. Obviously, people can take breaks as they need them, but we really try to move that process along. So we'll be reviewing the data at that point in time, sharing that state of the school district report, and starting to categorize findings. There'll be some themes that will start to emerge in terms of those long-range priorities for your district, and we'll start to sift through those in that first meeting. Phase 3 then is the prioritization process. That's where we're looking at a vision for the future of the district. There'll be some criteria that we'll develop over the next couple of months as we meet with Superintendent Korf and others. And then that will help us to rank and identify those 3 to 5 priorities and begin the identification of some goals aligned to the priorities. Then in phase 4, what we have in place is what we call a stakeholder feedback loop, where we're going to come back and say, so based on all of the data we collected, based on the meetings that we've had, here's what we've heard, here's what you provided us in terms of direction for strategic priorities and goals. Are we on the right track? Did we miss anything? Do we need to maybe change course a bit, or do some zeroing in or focusing on some of those priorities and goals? So it's a good opportunity to say this isn't about True North designing the priorities. It's about your community group that's representative of, again, staff, administrators, school board, community leaders, to identify the future for the district. And then we'll come back on phase 5, and that's November 4th, where we'll review feedback, refine the priorities as needed, and then start to get into that process of action planning and monitoring. And we'll share some templates that we've used with a variety of different districts and organizations that we've worked with that are really geared to say, how do you keep this thing alive and out front, and how do you continue to monitor it? Because as we know, things change, and they can change quickly in terms of school districts. And I'll just use the example of 5-6 years ago, all of a sudden we've got COVID and things changed really, really fast. And so districts had to go back and look at their long-range plans and do some very quick and serious modifications. So we certainly hope there isn't an event like that again, but just that idea to continue to monitor that process so that things are getting put in place, they're getting done, and if there are some changes that need to be made a year, 18 months, 30 months down the road, that there's a process in place to do that. So that's really the kind of big picture of what we're all about, and you can again see those dates and times. I'll pause here again to see if you have any questions at this point in time.
Anybody have questions?
Yeah, Jeff, hi, Stacy Elmers. Just question on the survey window, and what do you, first I love this plan, and then wondering though, like, how do we ensure bringing in multiple voices in that survey? So I know surveys can be hard sometimes if we just send them out, via email or on a social media page.
Yeah, I think that what we're really hoping is to provide a number of different ideas for getting that information out via maybe press releases. I'm not familiar enough with your district to know what kind of, if you have a local newspaper or you may have some ways of sending information out to your entire community. I don't know if you have any sort of district newsletters that go out, but we'll talk about lots of different ways to try to get that information out there. I always use the example of my mother-in-law in Alexandria, who has no connection to any sort of email technology of any sort. but she's always been very interested in the school district in Alexandria and how it's doing. So she really relished the idea of getting a mailing once a year or twice a year that would give her information. So hopefully we'll be able to provide a number of different ideas there, but that's always a challenge, getting that information out. Not so much in terms of obviously staff and students and parents, but the broader community. And so we'll be spending time in the next couple of months thinking about how we can cast the net so that people know about that survey.
Okay.
So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, and multiple languages too, we can, just with the languages that our district covers.
Yeah, that's something we'll work with the district on. I'm thinking not so much in the long range planning we've done, but certainly in some executive searches that I've been involved in, we've been able to provide things in multiple languages. And I don't know, do you have like liaisons for some of the various ethnicities that you might have in the community? School liaisons of some sort, or?
Yes, we have different members of the community and staff members that can help us out with that.
Yeah. So those are great points. Anything else?
Any more questions? I'm not hearing any, Jeff.
Okay. Well, we're really looking forward to working with you all on this process. We enjoy staying in kind of that neck of the woods. We've done work in Moorhead, Lakes Country Service Cooperative, Breckenridge, Hawley, Perham, most recently Henning. So we're kind of out and about, and we enjoy doing what we're doing. So look forward to it, and if you have any questions between now and the time we really start getting our boots on the ground in August, certainly connect with Brian, and he can let us know, and we'll try to make sure we provide any of those answers that can address the questions that you pose for us.
Okay. I don't hear any more questions, so.
All right, well, have a good rest of your board meeting. Thanks again for the opportunity to work with you, and have a good evening.
Yeah, you too, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Let's move on to Mrs. Walker with the Achievement and Integration Plan.
Good evening. We're going to go over the Achievement and Integration Plan. This will be for July of 2026 to June of 2029. So as you may remember from past presentations on this is a 3-year plan. Currently, we're in our final year of our 23-26 plan, and this presentation will mainly focus on this upcoming plan. So we file this with MDE in March of every year, and then our plan will begin July 1st. This also corresponds with our district goals and our comprehensive achievement and civic readiness report. And this plan is something that's evaluated and updated throughout the year. So as different things change, they want us to go in and be able to change it and see how it's doing. We have 3 types of goals with ANI: reducing achievement disparity, increasing racial and economic integration, and increasing equitable access to effective and diverse teachers. We had a few changes that are coming up with the MCAs. So they are switching over from MCA 3 to MCA 4. And so you'll see a little bit different type of goals for our reading and math. Also, the performance level descriptors are changing as well. So where we've had does not meet, partially meets, meets, exceeds, now we're looking at beginning, intermediate, meets, and advanced. So it's a little bit different than what we've seen before. Our first goal for reading is 60% or more of our free and reduced population students will score in the intermediate, meets, advanced range on the MCA 4 reading assessment from 2027 to 2029. We may adjust the percentage once we have a first-year baseline. This school year will be the first-year baseline for the MCA 4. When the new tests are rolled out, you can't compare previous test versions. And so we are just wanting to have that ability to make adjustments as needed. Same with our math. Our math is similar then, is we're again looking for 60% or more free and reduced scoring in that intermediate to advanced range. The MCA 4 for math, actually first year will be 26-27, so that's the year we'll have the actual baseline that we can work with. Our strategies for these two goals are the same. That's our core literacy support for students, so that involves teachers, programs, and curriculum. So at the elementary, some of those things include targeted interventions. At the high school, we have curriculum and training with our Language Arts 180 and Read 180 Universal Program, and we also have a young adult elective reading class. And both of our schools are still offering the Viking Student Success programs. Another strategy that we used is family engagement initiatives. So at Viking Elementary, the scheduled conferences with parents. They also do 2 family nights, 2 game nights. They've added Numbers in the Neighborhood. They added a reading day this year too, so just continuing with those events. In the high school, some of our family engagement also kind of crosses over into early intervention. So what we wanted to do at the high school is to continue to increase parent involvement and our conference attendance for students with mid or end of quarter D's and F's. So we have, there is an academic eligibility report that keeps a list of the students. That enables staff to reach out to parents. So that might be text, that might be email, that might be calls. So end of quarter, right around conference time, the parents can be invited then to either interact or come in and to those conferences. There's also ongoing advisory meetings that happen with the students that are getting the D's and the F's. There's also the Viking portfolio that we've talked about that students in grades 7 through 12 will be working on. And then we still have that after-school homework help for students needing assistance. So our key indicators of progress here are 60 more, it's our goal, that 60% or more of the free and reduced scoring with their math and reading within that intermediate to advanced range. 90% or more of Viking elementary parents continuing to attend conferences, and also the percentage of high school parents and students with failing grades attending conferences or increasing student involvement remaining at 75% or higher from 2027 to 29. That's worked really well. When they started reaching out with texting, there was a lot more involvement that we were seeing from that group of parents. So that's been really encouraging. Any questions so far? Okay, goal 3 is maintaining student access to more effective and diverse teachers by continuing to provide staff development in the areas of culture, race, ethnicity, poverty, and academic achievement for 100% of our teachers. So one of the strategies that we have here is trying to kind of develop staff within that reflect our diversity. So we had created an intro to education class that was offered for a number of years. We also offer early childhood education right now for college credit. So those are just some ways that we can encourage students within our school to pursue an education degree. The second strategy is tied in with our staff development opportunities. And so in addition to academic training and academic achievement training, we will continue to provide professional development that strengthens our knowledge around culture, race, ethnicity, poverty, and mental health by increasing our capacity to understand, accept, and help others. This will include, but is not limited to annual presenters, speakers, book studies. And what we'll do is each year, we will update the A&I plan in the fall with what we are going to be doing for that next school year. Our key indicator of progress here is 100% of the teachers participating in these development trainings each year. Goal 4 then, our last goal, is our students, this is working with our cultural immersion events and activities with some partnering districts. So our partnering districts are the same that we've had: Battle Lake, Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Underwood, Frazee, Hawley, and Perham. And so Mrs. Lage works with this piece of the program, and she's just done an amazing job getting things set up with these different schools. We've also added a culture fair that we're going to be offering each year, because one of the things that we're required to do is to participate in an activity or event with each district. And so that's a way that we can provide opportunity for all schools to be able to participate with us. There's also other things that, other events that happen. Detroit Lakes, for instance, is doing something, they're calling it Stories Across Schools now, or we're calling it that. We've had a partnership with them for a number of years with some of the early education teachers working with the second grade classrooms. Holly, it's been really fun now with our global foods class. We've been able to partner with Holly on a couple events, and that's gone really well. So it is exciting. It brings students into our building. It gives students a chance to experience our culture and have some really good experiences. So what we do then to measure our impact or our success with this is that we do survey all the students that participated after each event. And so what we're looking for is 80% or more of participating students indicating an increase in understanding and or comfort level with students different than themselves. And so we're going to maintain that as our goal. We want 80% or more. We started at 60%, but we've been much closer to 80, and so we want to keep that going. But that's been exciting as well, that we're seeing that people are finding that a positive experience. So any questions?
Based on the survey that's done after the event then, or that 80%? Okay.
Yeah, we have a Google survey that we do after each event, and that's available to the other school, to our students and the students at the other districts. So that way we're all able to access
Do the other
that data.
districts count towards that 8%, or is that only within our school then?
It's whatever comes back.
Okay.
But we're working really hard to get data from both groups, because that's important. That helps them too. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you.
That's it?
That's it? Only one tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I don't hear any questions.
You're welcome. Yeah, if you have questions, just feel free to email me.
Okay. We will move on to Mr. Nelson's elementary report.
Enrollment, K through 6 was at 457, PPK again 44, P3s was 29, and Head Start was 30. February conferences, we had 93% of parents, families show up again, which is awesome, and thank you to all the parents and families for taking the time. It was a beautiful day to come in and learn more about their student and work with the teacher and the teachers for their time reaching out to parents. And as we talk, sometimes our system isn't perfect, and we have parents, families that just show up. Our teachers are very flexible of, yep, we can get you in half hour or 10 minutes or whatever. So our teachers do a good job of working with those families as well. On March 5th, we did a reading day where we invited families to come in, read with their young ones for a half hour. We had a great turnout. A lot of classrooms had, almost every student had someone. And then with that, we had the, I believe it was National Honor Society, sent a bunch of students down, and they filled in the holes if someone didn't have someone there. Some of our high school kids were reading with the elementary kids, so they thought that was pretty cool if you're sitting across from a certain student reading. They maybe like that better than mom and dad coming in, but that was a good success. And our times are really staggered, and basically that's because of parking. If we tried to do it all at once, we would not have parking, and then families that have, 2, 3, 4 kids, they would have to pick, so we try to stagger it, so sometimes we end up doubling up, but parking is a big reason why we stagger it the way we do throughout the day, if you're wondering. So again, thanks to those high school students for coming down. March 16th, we had letters training again. That was our 3rd one of the year and 7th one overall. Feedback from the staff is this was probably the best presenter they had. They were the most engaged, got a lot out of it, and a lot of it comes down to who's presenting. So the guy evidently sounded like he was very energetic and did a lot of group work within their grades. So they got a lot of time to talk as a grade level about things. I think, Mr. Actor, if you want to add on that at all, or?
No, it was good training.
Yep.
Definitely a good presenter.
So one left, and then the final test for letters training for the teachers, and but it's been a great learning time for our teachers, and it started off really with the lower elementary, kind of builds up to the upper elementary, and for them to see what each other are doing at times, teaching with the reading has been a great experience for our staff. This Friday, we have our 3rd and 4th grade program. I just want to thank Mrs. Meester, Mrs. Martinez, and Ms. Moan for all their work on all the programs, not just this one, but putting those together. And again, it's over at the high school auditorium. It's kind of nice when parents can sit in nice seats and have plenty of room rather than the gym where we'd be jammed in there and the sound isn't very good. So kind of fun for the kids to walk over and be on the big stage too, because the auditorium is fabulous. So thank all of them for their work there. And starting April 13th is the MCA testing begins for our students. So hard to believe, but it's right around the corner. So any questions, anything?
How are we doing on attendance?
Last week was rough.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of sickness last week. A lot of sickness. But overall, last year I presented every time. Like January we had, I think it was 50 more kids get perfect attendance this year than we did last year. So, but it depends on when the sickness hits too. So this month we'll probably be down because we've had teachers that have 8-10 kids gone in a day last week. So, but seems to be a lot of them back today. So weekends are good to get people away and get them healthier. So, any other questions?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Januszewski had a high school report.
High school enrollment is at 370. Updates on our PLCs and BLT goals. We had 3 main ones that we've worked through this entire year. So the first one is our staff reading the Age Generation in their PLCs. Mrs. Lage and I are working on a spring newsletter that we will also send out to parents. It'll be our last one that'll wrap up the last few chapters, and these last couple chapters are what can schools do and what can parents do. So it's kind of a nice summary for them. We'll also include in that newsletter information about MCAs and what testing looks like for students. Second goal, use assessment data and strategies to increase our proficiency rates. One of our PLCs has been based on the READ Act. They're starting to plan out what next school year will look like for students and support. And then we are also going to expand the curriculum that we bought this year for grades 7 through 10 and expand that into our 11th grade curriculum. Our math department is also going to work with Lakes Country on a new standards alignment for their standards that are coming out. So both those will be good to help support our students. And then lastly, create portfolio check-ins for our grade levels. Mrs. Lage and Mrs. King and I sat in on a presentation with a company called Zello, and this is one that I originally really wasn't very interested and was pretty cold to the guy on the phone, but then I listened to the presentation and 3 of us were really excited about what he offered. So it's a great way for kids to learn more about what their skills are, do some career exploration, and then also explore college and the military, and then it puts it all into one really nice portfolio for them and for their parents. So I think it's going to be a nice conversation starter for students and their parents of what does the future look like for them, and it can follow them throughout 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th grade, and it continues to change based on the skills and the interests that they have. So it'll be a nice addition for our students and staff to work through advisory time and then also some of their classes. District goal number 3 is 100% of our students graduating have a plan to attend post-secondary, military, or workforce, and I think that really also ties into our portfolio check-ins with this new program. In March, we had our seniors listen to a blue and gold scholarship presentation from M-State in Fergus Falls. This is a scholarship that if students go there, they can get all of their college paid for. So it was a nice way for kids to learn about an opportunity to continue their education. In April, we will offer the ACT or ASVAB for our juniors. And then we also had some students visit businesses and go on some other post-secondary options. I think Mr. Rarick's career in college class is going to NDSU this week, and Mrs. Holt took her students to Joseph School of Hair Design. So just some great ways for kids to see what else is out there. Our senior high math team will compete at Spring Lake Park in the state math competition on Monday, March 30th. They were supposed to compete last week, and the storm in the cities put a hold on that, so they get to go down next Monday. Valhalla Challenge for our staff has been fun. I thought this was a fun statistic. In 4 weeks, we've had over 57,000 minutes of our staff moving. So it's been a fun challenge. Next week will be our last week of the challenge. Our workshop, last Monday, we recapped Q3 as a staff. Started prepping for MCAs. We will start here in April with MCAs. Had PLC, BLT meetings, and then looked at what next year looks like in our department and curriculum cycle meetings. I laid out some of the biggies here for the next couple of months. I laughed yesterday because I realized in 2 months I'll be on the stage reading off McLean's name. So graduation is coming. May 2nd is prom. May 6th is scholarship night. And then the 22nd is graduation for the class of 2026. Any questions?
I don't hear any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lane Harmon, do you have a report for us?
I do. As Mrs. J said, March Madness is in full swing, which includes lots of crowded gyms for sports. Track has 2 meets this week. On Tuesday, tomorrow night, they have a meet at Concordia, which is their first meet of the year. The second meet this week is Friday at UND. Softball started practice on March 9th, and their first scheduled game is April 9th, which is a doubleheader at home versus Staples. Baseball started practice on March 16th. Their first scheduled game is also on April 9th. It is a doubleheader in Staples. Both boys and girls golf also began on March 9th. The first meet for both teams is on April 16th. The girls are at Willow Creek in Barnesville, and the boys are at Whitetail Run Golf Course in Woodbina. The high school finished their digital detox challenge, which was a school-wide challenge to reduce screen time. The 9th grade was crowned champions after dropping their screen time 11%. Lastly, band has a large group contest next Tuesday, and tomorrow night, choir will be leaving for their trip to Orlando. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Martinez.
All right.
All right, month of February, we're getting very close to the end of our fiscal year. I'll quickly explain our budget here. So this report here talks about our budget to actual and incorporates all of the funds that we have within our operating funds. And I'm just explaining a little bit more in detail just so Mr. Lindbergh can understand the components of it. Our school accounting has 7 books. And within those 7 books, the budget that you see here is the overall operating budget that we approved in June before the start of our new fiscal year. And our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th of every single year. So total revenue that we approved this year was just a little over $6.5 million, of which we've collected 8.8. So we still have about $7.7 million yet to collect from state, federal, and our levy dollars. So we're sitting at about a 53% mark. Total expenditures, we approved a $60 million budget. Of that so far, we have used about 10 million, so we have about 5.2 million left. We're at about 67%. The reason why we have such a discrepancy in this, so remember last month was our debt payment. So this is why you see those $2 million there in red. Eventually, the state will catch up and they will pay us, and we have a large levy payment that we collect in the middle of May, and then that will bump our revenue up significantly. So far compared to last year, we're right on mark. So that's very good. We'll move on to the next page, Em. Taking down from all of our operating budget, we narrow down into our general fund. Our general fund is where the majority of our expenditures happens, is where a lot of our labor gets paid out of. So we tend to focus in the school settings on our general fund. We always talk about the general fund significantly. And it's good to know that out of the 16 million budget, about 13 million are in the general fund. So far we've collected 7 million, so we are at about 54% in that, and out of the $12.5 million in operating budget, we've used up 7.7, and we're about 61%. So again, we're right on track in terms of the general fund budget that we approved. Then we'll move on to the next page, please. Next page is our cash flow statement. This is simply just to show the money ins, money outs, where we are in terms of money cash fluctuation at the end of every period. We started our investment account with $3.7 million. We received money from the state and federal government worth $1.1 million. We withdrew $928,000. So we bring this deposit down to our general checking account. So total investment on hand was just a little over $3.9 million. Here is those funds that I talked about and how we separate each particular fund. Total cash on hand in our checking account at the beginning of the month was $246,000. We had deposits worth $990,000, of which $928,000 came from our investment account. Total accounts payable was $754,000. Total payroll was $420,000. So at the end of the month, we had $61,000. Total cash on hand, just a little over $4 million. So pretty comfortable place for us to be in. Between now and June, you're gonna start to see that investment start to grow. Normally, we always end the year between $5 and $5.5 million cash in hand. This is a good marker for us to be in. We always want to keep about 3 operating months in our reserves. In the event that there's a state shutdown, a federal shutdown, we want to make sure that we pay our employees. And it's also a audit recommendation to keep that amount in there. Okay. The last pages of the report is the journal entries that we lost. We're up. There we go, we're back. Sure. So, The final pages is the journal entries that we provide, and we always like to give a little bit of explanation. In addition, the auditors always want us to make sure that we get all of our journal entries board approved going in audit. The first journal entry that we did is that we miscoded a deposit that we accidentally put the student activity elementary box stops. So when you go to Larry's and you walk out, there's a giant thing that says box stops. That's our teachers trying to collect some of those dollars. So we accidentally put it into a student elementary activity account, and then we had to do the journal entry to put it into the correct tier. The next one was just special ed coding. With special ed coding, every single time we have a para shift, students or their rotation changes, we have to classify that revenue based on disability. So essentially this year it simply says that we had a para that was coded to 402, and then we had to move those labor expenses to a disability 407. The last one, again, same thing with special education. We were accidentally paying a para out of a old retired teacher general ledger, and we had to move it to the actual correct expense account. So that's essentially what it is. And we do significant amount of cleanup as we kind of get towards the end of the year, and then we have to reconcile our books to match the federal government and to match the state reporting system. So between now and the end of the fiscal year, you're gonna see quite a few more journal entries. The last pages is all the accounts payable that go through our books. So if you ever need to know a little bit more about why we pay a significant bill, let us know and we can provide a backup for that. That's the treasurer report in a nutshell. Any questions before I move on to other pieces that we want to talk about today? Okay. Second thing we want to talk about is the achievement and integration budget. In the achievement and integration budget, we marry on a fiscal year the revenue that we are going to receive to the plan that Becky presented to you guys. So based on the plan, we receive dollars from the state, and then we assign it to those strategies and goals that Becky talked about. So the overall revenue that we're going to receive for achievement and integration this upcoming fiscal year is going to be $176,000. The funding mechanism behind this is we receive $350 per student pupil. And then in addition to that, the state only pays us 49% of that. So that is where that equalization factor comes into play. So this is how much money we're going to receive. If you go to the next page, in the next page, talks about where are we assigning those dollars. So you can see that we're going to receive $176,000, but total expenditures that I have proposed to the state is $220 in expenditures. Okay, majority of the expenditures that I'm reporting to the state has to do with goal number 1, which is that core literacy group. We pay 2 of our teachers. We pay our Read 180 teacher at the high school, and then we pay one of our ESL teachers down at the elementary that help with that particular goal. Now, the reason why I always show more expenditures than revenue is because at the end of the year, the state does a true up, and sometimes if there's additional dollars, they reach out to those districts that show more expenditures than revenue, and sometimes they like to reallocate those particular dollars. So kind of a fun strategy to try to beat the system and say, hey, we're spending more than what you're giving us. So that's why in our budget, we always show more expenditures than the revenue received. Okay. The last pages of the report is everything that Becky talked about. So if you are interested in reading the entire achievement integration report, those goals and strategies are tied behind this to the budget. We'll need approval in your business items, and then signatures at the end of the meeting for you guys to approve the achievement and integration plan. The budget we have to do every single year as comparison to the plan, which is every 3 years like Becky talked about. So next spring, we're going to approve that new budget as well. Okay? Any questions regarding achievement and integration?
I guess one thing with that is, if it is a 3-year plan, are we guaranteed the funding for that for all 3 years, or is it just on an annual basis if they could decide to change that next year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So far is set in legislation. So unless any legislative mandates change the achievement and integration statute, we'll receive those funding for it. Great question. Okay, any other questions regarding achievement and integration? Okay, the last piece that I'll talk about, this was an email by Ms. Almares that she reached out to us wanting to know a little bit more about LOR or local optional revenue. And I know that in your guys' Friday report, we're sending you guys a lot of information regarding, hey, here's some bills that we know that are going to benefit us or they might impact us. So whenever you see the term LOR, it means local optional revenue. LOR is a component of our levy. And if you guys recall, our levy, we start the process as early as August. We certify the maximum in September, and then we approve the maximum in September, and then we certify the final levy dollars in December. There's two components to local optional revenue. The first one is $724 per pupil, and originally, before 2019, that was, I believe it was $424, and then in 2019, they increased it by $300 per pupil, giving us the maximum of $724, okay? By statute, you guys as a board unit, you can approve that without any voter approval. That is your authority. There's a few bills out there that are saying increase LOR from 724 to 900 or add an additional tier, and that's all good because if that amount of 724 it's increased, that means we receive additional dollars. So we want to advocate for those bills to say increase LOR. That means more revenue for our district. Okay. Now anything over 724 per student is when we have to go to voters and we have to pass an operating referendum. So in 2019, we passed an operating referendum for 10 years for an additional $315 per student, okay? That is set to expire in 2029, but with the legislative statute that was passed in the last session, we can renew that for an additional 10 years, which we're looking into and hopefully doing. There is additional bills out there, and I know we reach out to you guys to say, hey, please reach out to your local legislators regarding the piece of introducing seasonal rec into the computation of levy. So right now, whenever we calculate our levy, seasonal rec gets excluded from local optional revenue and operating referendum. So essentially what it does is that it shrinks our tax base. So right now our market value in our entire footprint of our district is just a little over $3 billion in property assets. That gets excluded from LOR and operating referendums, and it gives us just about $1 billion for us to play numbers with. So essentially what it means is that any property that's classified as homestead, business, or other are the ones that end up paying the bill. So the bill that we ask you guys to reach out, that I believe Senator Rasmussen is introducing into legislation, is they would put seasonal rec into there, they wouldn't exclude it, which means that we would spread that impact to all of our tax base rather than just homesteads, businesses, and farms. So that's why we're saying support the introduction of seasonal rec into the computation of LOR and operating referendums, and advocate for any of those bills that says that we want to increase LOR. That would mean additional dollars for our district. Okay. Ms. Almares, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just thought there was, I think, 4 different bills,
Yep.
plus, that are being proposed and going
Yep.
through, so I thought it was important
Yep,
that
absolutely.
we, like, all have a real good understanding of LOR, and too, like, if we're approached by community, I wanna be able
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
speak to, like, the tax impact and, where we're at as a district,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
because, if this is not voter approved and we're able to, and it is important to support
Yes.
our district in that way, but I just wanna be confident and then
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
we speak to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if you guys So right now, we are in the middle of legislation, right? It started in February and it goes until May 19th. Between now and then, anything can change, and all those bills get introduced in the House and the Senate, and then eventually they flow up to committees. And in my experience, it's literally happens on 11:59 when they decide to approve or deny bills. So the more we bug our legislators, the better it is. But bullet points, talking to you guys, if you're going down at the Capitol to talk to legislators or just advocate with community, the bullet points to talk about is 724 is you guys can set as a maximum. We have an upgrading referendum for an additional $315 per pupil, which we went out to the voters in 2019 and it was approved and it goes for 10 years. And then, yeah, anything other than that, current legislation, if we say we want additional levy dollars, we have to go to voters. So that's kind of what's in play right now. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, if you're going down to the Capitol, if you have any specific questions regarding how that plays and what that impact that means to our district, give me a call, shoot me an email, I'll send you the information right away.
You did a nice job explaining that.
Yeah, any other questions? Like I said, my office is open. Call, stop in, and I'll be happy to sit down with you guys and break down those mechanics. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Corp.
Okay, a few district priority items, increase in student enrollment. March, we're at 830. Last spring, in May, we were at 808 for K-12 enrollment. Pre-K through 12 enrollment, last spring we're at 915, now we're at 933. Sound and transparent financial practices, Mr. Martinez has been presenting at our board meetings about our financial pieces, so appreciate all his work, what he's done there. District goals, goal 3, 100% of students graduating. Here we'll have a plan to attend post-secondary education, military, or workforce. And Mrs. J talked about goal 3 here in her presentation. And Mrs. J and Mrs. Leach have been meeting with seniors. We know plans change, we understand that, but we want them to kind of have a focus of where they're heading as they graduate here from Pelican Rapids High School. Goal 4 update, Pelican Rapids High School graduation rate will exceed the statewide graduation rate. Appreciate all our staff. They have advisory groups working with students, checking their grades, building relationships with them. Our admin here at the high school have been doing credit checks, progress reports, and then meetings with students if they have any struggles with attendance or any behaviors, things like that. So, and meeting with families. So appreciate all their work. So we can have a graduation rate that will exceed the statewide. Long range planning, Mr. Olson presented tonight, so we've had some good meetings with their team from True North Consulting Partners. I think this will be a great thing to go through here as a district, and they'll be a good group to work with. So, and they have a good plan to help us get a lot of input from our community, our staff, and our students. Few school board agenda items on tonight under consent items. Acknowledge the resignation of Mr. Beamer as a custodian at the high school. I want to thank Mr. Beamer for his years of service and his work. He did a great job and appreciate his commitment to ISD 548. Approve the hire of Gretchen Johnson as a long-term substitute for science. Approve the hire of Mr. Cozen as junior high baseball coach. And approve the hire of Jenna Pixley-Nava as long-term part-time custodian substitute at the elementary. And then lane change requests, we have some staff that have requested lane change requests. And then under business items, A is the monthly donations that we accept. And then B and C, the achievement and integration plan and the budget. Mr. Martinez presented on the budget, and Ms. Wanter presented the plan. A few big rocks coming up. April 8th is the policy committee meeting. That's at 5:30. If we need to change the time, let us know if that time needs to be changed. And the same with May 6th will be the finance committee. That's at 4:30. And again, if something comes up, we'll work together if we need to make that change of time. So that's the plan for right now with dates and times for our committee meetings here this spring. Tomorrow and Wednesday I'll be at the state capitol, and Mr. Martinez talked about going down there and advocating for education in Pelican Rapids schools. And we want to welcome Mr. Lindbergh. Look forward to working with you, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right,
That's all I have.
any questions?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's not really a question, but just, back to the long-range planning, like, I really do appreciate the plan that, True North, laid out for us. And I just wanna say, I just wanna make sure that we're really intentional about, cause that gathering feedback seems like it's gonna come up fast. And how we're intentional of really seeking, I know, not all will come to us to give that feedback, and so how can we be creative and ensure that we're really getting out there too in spaces, whether it's even going to employers' spaces, and it's maybe paper copies versus virtual, but all the different ways in which we can ensure feedback from multiple areas, so, that's all.
Will they be meeting with administration here to try to fine tune some of those details, or?
Yeah.
So that'll happen throughout the summer, or?
May, yeah, between now and summertime, and then throughout the summer. Get right into it, yeah.
Okay.
Cause even, like, who are some of our larger employers in the community, and, can we get in those spaces to get some of that feedback too?
Any more questions? All right, move on to consent items. Item A is approved board meeting minutes from the February 9th, 2026 regular school board meeting. B is financial claims and February bills. C is the treasurer's report. D is personnel. Acknowledge the resignation of Jason Beamer as custodian at high school. Approve the hire of Gretchen Johnson as long-term substitute for science at the high school. Approve the hire of Davis Cozen as junior high baseball coach. Approve the hire of Jenna Bixley Nava as long-term part-time custodian substitute at the elementary. We have several lane changes here. We have Delias Beachy, BA to BA plus 10. We have Logan Knorr, MA plus 10 to MA plus 20. And Eric Lindbergh, BA plus 10 to BA plus 20. Devin Severson, BA plus 10 plus BA plus to BA plus 20. Parker Severson, BA, can I just say BA 10 to BA 20?
Mhm.
Okay. Madison Tweeten, BA 10 to BA 20, and Nicole Tweeten, BA 10 to BA 20. So entertain a motion for consent items.
I make a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion by Andrew, do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay. Second by Chris. Any discussion on consent items? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent items signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Consent items carry. So we have 3 business items. Approve the resolution accepting donations. And we have a motion and a second for that.
A motion to approve the resolution accepting donations.
Okay, motion by Stacy, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Andrew. Okay. So this is a resolution accepting donations. Whereas every such acceptance shall be by resolution of the governing body adopted by a 2/3 majority of its members expressing such terms in full. Therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Pelican Rapids Public Schools, ISD 548, gratefully accepts the following donations as identified below. Laura Klemick, $80. Student accounts, Laura Klemick, $80 for the Viking Boutique. Class of 1974, $150 to the PRHS Scholarship Fund in memory of Steve Dennis. Family of KKO, $3,000 to the KKO Scholarship Fund. Cormorant Area Art Club, $500, District Art Program. Anonymous, $20 to the PRHS Scholarship Fund in memory of Lisa Melby. And class of 1972, $25 to the UHS Scholarship Fund in memory of Tom Halbakken. This is pretty generous donations there. So this is a resolution. Andrew, how do you resolve?
Yes.
Brenda?
Yes.
Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution passes. Next item up will be to approve the fiscal year 27 to 29 Achievement and Integration Plan. I will make that motion to approve the fiscal year 27-29 Achievement Integration Plan. Do we have a second? Second by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. C is to approve fiscal year 27 Achievement and Integration Budget. Do we have a motion?
We'll make the motion to approve the fiscal year 27 achievement and integration budget.
Okay, motion by Andrew, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Chris. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, the final portion, upcoming meetings. So we have a policy committee meeting at 5:30 on April 8th. Regular meeting is at 6 p.m. on April 20th. We have a finance committee meeting 4 p.m. on May 6th, and a regular meeting at 6 p.m. on May 18th. So who would like to make the motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Motion by Stacy, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Andrew. Miss Greg making that motion?
Where did these come from?
MSBA has that new online portal with training, so I think that's how it got it. Any discussion on adjourning? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. We're adjourned.